program. And I also have with me the one and only, the man with all the money in that vault that I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but storing it up with high interest rates. Just kidding, mister.
Terry Kernan.
You like that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You guys are making bank. Everybody in the bank, everybody out there is thinking the banking world, the mortgage world, they're making bank with these interest rates now. There can't be no complaining out there now. So,
well, one of the things you got to consider is when the interest rates go up.
There you go.
So for all the years that we've had 0.125% interest rates or 1% on your savings account, those numbers are climbing into the twos in the presidential.
All righty then.
Look at presidential, brand new bank downtown.
I love it.
Bank branch, we have very, very high savings rates.
That's it. Higher than the average, maybe.
Higher than the, no,
it's good.
100% higher
100%.
than the average on checking and savings.
That's awesome. So you guys need to open up accounts. All of our Frederick area people out there, don't be afraid to visit Terry down there in downtown. And you guys got to open up an account, sit down, go over all the great products they have as always, and that will be good. So what's happening out there, Terry? Now that we're in October, the goblins, the ghosts, the scary stuff. This is the month of the scary.
Well, this has been a tumultuous. You like that word, tumultuous?
I love it.
Without stuttering, or I just can't say it many times in a row.
Tumultuous.
2 weeks. The
Yes.
last 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy as far as interest rates, okay? So we talked about the rates going up. They went up very quickly from 6% to 5.5% all through August. They were going up, and then September, the last 2 weeks, they've kind of really kicked in, and they got up to as high as 7%, and that's when we were talking about, wow, we finally hit 7. Calmer heads prevailed. Things have settled down, and rates dropped back down to closer to 6, 6.25, that range. So it's been very, very, very volatile the last couple of weeks. And what we saw yesterday on Friday was the jobs report comes out. Everybody was expecting us to have unemployment increase or stay the same. We're at 3.6, and we dropped. So we dropped to 3.5, which was where we were pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Haven't been at 3.5 since the 1960s. Prior to 2020, we haven't been this low since 1960s. So what's happening is an anomaly that I've never seen, but it's basically what's happening, Darren, is interest rates are going up, but we're still buying, we're still putting money into the economy. They're actually trying to would be under control.
Right.
So what's happening is money is still getting pumped into the economy. Demand is still there for items, manufacturers. So inflation does not appear to be going anywhere. But next Wednesday and Thursday, very, very, very big days in the market because we have our consumer price index coming out on Thursday and our producer price index. And that's going to tell us where inflation is. But what this jobs number did, Darren, is it pretty much put a nail in the coffin that we are definitely going to see another 0.75% raise in November and another 0.5% raise in December. So we've already raised it 3%, so that'll be 4 up, giving people. And what they don't understand, and this is my opinion, but I think it's common sense, what they don't understand is that if they're giving these relief packages to people, they're going to spend money and put it into the economy, which is going to keep the demand for products up, which is going to raise the price even higher. So by giving these relief packages, in my opinion, it's not going to slow down inflation, but it could actually make it go higher.
When you say the relief packages, well, who gets that? What is that? Is this another?
It's another.
Is this another?
It's coming from the government.
Is this
coming from the government?
Is this
it's
like
coming from the state governments?
Like everybody's going to get a check in the mail thing?
It's well, because the funds that are being
next neat little thing rolls out and how that affects things and all that good stuff. So
rates are going to continue to rise. Which means that the interest rate on your savings account is going to continue to rise, which is great news.
That's good. And we'll figure out what's going to happen with home values as a whole, because if interest rates, I believe, as I've said before, if we top 7% and stay above 7%, we will definitely see values then start to decrease pretty quick. It'll happen a lot faster than just a normal slowdown and leveling off and plateauing. We'll see that roller coaster have, no time to see where it goes, if you will. All right, T, let's get into this part. Remember what I've said before, and things of that nature that push that average number down, that median number down. New construction, 156. Coming soon, 42. This is about where we thought we would land for the next, probably into November and December. We'll stay in that 40 and 50. Probably at the end of December, though. I'm going to say the second week of December before Santa hits. I would say that number is going to start to increase quite a bit. My guess will be starting to get to 60, maybe 70 as we see the spring market, kind of get going. So pending under contract, 610. Do you know, Terry, there was a time when that number was double. Do you remember the time when we had over 1,200 homes under contract?
Well, I remember being over 1,000.
10 resales, 300 new. That thing, that's, I think that's always very interesting to see our new construction and resales, what's pending to be almost tied neck and neck. That is extremely unusual. We've talked about that before. Sold, good.
No, so when talking about new, we're talking about new construction.
Yep, build.
Build. And what I'm starting to see is that the builders are giving more and more incentives.
Oh, yeah. You think so? They're going to be ahead of the resale sellers, no doubt, always.
And they're also giving incentives to the realtors.
Yeah, we are. We're seeing bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to welcome us back. Sold in the last 30 days, 379. And then list of price. Oh, this came down 99.4. So that came down just a hair. So, yeah, but I look at it like this, Terry. The positive news is that rates are not going up as fast and as crazy and all that like they were. It seems like it's leveled off or come down a bit now. We're seeing buyers to be able to get in under 7%, especially FHA and all that. And you even said maybe even 6.5% as we see the markets fluctuate around. And of course, everything depends on your credit and the loan types and all kinds of other factors. And that's why Terry can help you with that. So we've seen that kind of that happen. Home values. This is the good news. I'm all the top positive thing. Home values and I think I may have read this real quick before, since 2019, values in our area have increased about 8 to 14% each year. The last 3 to 4 years has been some of the highest growth, and likely your value of your home went way up over 30+% if you're in downtown Frederick. Probably more like 40% or higher in the last just 3 years or 4. And that's more than we ever saw in 2005 to 2008 swing as far as value increases. And the reason why has been because of the interest rates and free money and affordability, plus a continued amount of high demand. And he said, I don't get it. Why is it, lack of inventory that we just haven't had? And I said, that's the bottom line, is demand, and the lack of inventory has been a continued factor. It just it's just not syncing up with what would be normal. Now, I did say to him, if we had enough homes for the population and buyer demand was not so high or starting to drop off because of a lack of interest to own a house or have housing, I said, we'd be talking a whole nother conversation. It'd be a whole nother ball game. And he said, well, when do you foresee we have enough housing for the demand on? I said, I don't know, because we have a lot of supply chain issues. It has a lot of hard time getting help to build. You got a lot of regulatory issues and things and red tape to get communities started and built. And I said, it's gonna be quite a while. Percentages from 2013 to 2022. This is layman's terms. I think people get this. So if you lose 20% of your value and you only lose 1.5 years of your growth. Now let's be honest. If everybody lost 20% of their home's value right now, I mean, it would be like pandemonium, right?
Yes,
but people aren't thinking straight.
Fear breeds fear.
Right. But they're not thinking straight because you really, truly have only lost 1.5 years of the growth that we've had, which puts us back to 2020, like when COVID started prices, if you will. You're still up 22% on an average versus 2018, and you're still in the black. 91% of all homes have positive equity. That's the highest we've ever had. We've never had a time in American housing where sellers have had the highest percentage amount of equity in their home. That's never happened. So that's really positive. That means there's a lot of cushion. So if everyone lost, say, 35% of your home's value, now this takes us back to 08 and 09 and all that, your home value go
20 years ago.
Yeah, those more in some areas. So obviously it feels like the stock market and the day traded in some cases, and it's very volatile and fast moving. So what will cause values to just be quote unquote normal? And we've already talked what is normal. 3, 4, maybe 5% a year increase year over year with your home's value. Why is that number an average? And I've always said the reason why is because it stays somewhat in line with job raises and increases per year. Terry, I don't know too many jobs that gets a 5% or more increase in a raise per year.
No.
Not a whole bunch.
No.
Now, us as real estate agents, man, since we're commission based, like any commission based job, we obviously ride the wave of, if your home value goes up 10% or 15% in 1 year and I can sell it for 10 or 15% more in this year versus last year, well, of course I made a 15% increase in my income.
So that's a
tough, but that's not normal. What we're talking about is this is so out of the norm, and it just puts it in better perspective that look, things are still really, really fine and good overall. Rates to stay low, 2,400 homes. And Terry, we're still talking about 500 homes in those days. And so therefore the data, it's hard to be able to know, to be able to have the same benchmark because we have more widgets that exist in Frederick County now at this time. So the bottom line is there's thousands of more potential homes to be sold to. That is the opportunity to be sold, affordability, people being able to afford $500,000. In both of them, that happened within 3 days.
priced right, I think is what it was.
Bam! And here's the thing. Both of those offers were right at about the asking price. One was at asking price. One was $5,000 above asking price. That's not a lot of differential on the size of the, with an escalation clause. So we're not talking about above it. If we see that again, it's not going to be because we're hanging on to 7% interest rates. It may be because we have 3% or 2% interest rates again, right? So that's what happened in my world, and the sellers were really happy. Neither of my sellers said in the market a long time and wondering what's going on activity, and now we have nothing or whatever. So it hedged off all of those kind of things like that, and it gave them the best opportunity. Oh, the second thing was really appraisal issue. Now I'm not worried about either of these two offers
On those homes, the list price.
Oh, one was $260 and the other one was $390.
$390.
Getting back to normal. I did have one that did have a rent back scenario. They were cool because one of my sellers is buying a home. We're under contract. We didn't have to have a house to find contingency and house to sell contingencies and all those fun things like that. So that was really positive to bypass some of the things that would prohibit. Is seller's favorite the home inspection? Yes, no more wait. I mean, it's rare, I'm thinking now. Both of these properties are home inspections, so now we've got to re-educate sellers on, what is that home inspection? Just like Eddie hanging out, what's been going on in your life lately? Never be used again. It was a big because it gave the buyers a right to terminate the contract or to not terminate it, and the sellers knew. That's gone. That is gone. Doesn't mean buying a house as is gone. We just now have this neat new addendum that's come into play with the property inspection addendum. It outlines every single inspection pot that could be done, plus an other inspection, could be environmental or structural or whatever. And then now the buyer has to inform the seller, we're not just doing an overall blanket home inspection thing where we can just do whatever we want here. Contract's not contingent upon that. Well, yes, it is. According to the lender, it's going to be. Am I right?
Well, that because when there's damage, then we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and making sure that the people are protected. Because I feel that if somebody does sign a hold harmless and the hold harmless says you have I've chose to waive my right to a termite, but they go and get it.
Yep.
And there's awful termite damage.
Yep.
the termites ate pretty much around the house, and the house was going to be fairly condemned. But